Hello, Jesse. We're going to take a look at your emphasis posting here. Give you a little feedback on what we observe. So we'll take a look, see what we have. Good, looks all good in terms of the organization and everything like that. Looks pretty good. Believe it or not, setting things up for that first time has been a challenge for some, but it looks like you did it pretty well. Okay, so as you know, this project was really about getting to know how to use prompts, how to use themes, how to use ideas, and incorporate them into what you already know. This was in a way a sort of a pre-evaluation to get to know everybody's sort of incoming skill sets, and everybody has a different level. Everybody has a different approach to how they compose or how they make imagery, and each of these distances actually gives you guys a different opportunity to show that, because given the different distances, people will respond in their own unique way. Sometimes you feel better about one distance over another and that kind of thing. You're very good in terms of overall about using lines to move you into a composition. Overall, as I'm looking at these, from this one and this one and this one and this one, what I'm seeing is consistent here is the use of line to pull us in and to direct us. It's obvious that you're looking at those things, even in this one where you're thinking maybe, hey, where's there the line movement that pulls us in here? But it's definitely there. It's a bit more subtle than some of the other ones, but it's there strong enough. The suggestion is there through something called continuance. And what I mean is, if we take this line right here, okay, this line right here, which is definitely something that the eye is going to pick up, this line here, and we take the line of the sky. Now, I know you're like, wait a minute, how is he picking up? Well, this is just human nature. Our eyes are going to do that. So this line here and the line of the sky, what that's doing is it's mirroring them. And when you do that, you're tying things together. It's like you're continuing that line. What we want to do is attach those two together in our minds. Our eyes automatically want to attach those two things together. So you're creating, whether you know it or not, a line between here and here, which pulls us up and into this line. You might have done that just intuitively. As you saw it, you thought this makes a good composition. You may have done it accidentally, but either way, I want you to notice that. This is called continuance. We'll work on that very idea in a later project during the course, but this is an excellent form of using line to get us pulled into a composition. The same thing's happening here with this line here and these lines here, which are definitely coming together like this. You're also using the converging lines, of course, to point us into a definite direction. So you're using direction, and you're using line and shape very, very effectively in this series of images. Goodness, my mouse is just going crazy over here. Let's move to this one where I wanted to point out here, this little area right in here, where you have the pole and the building right next to one another. That's a very interesting sort of choice that you've made there, because you're combining the two things. You're making them one element, which is a good idea, because we want them to appear to be a shape, or we want them to appear to be one item, and they come together in that really beautiful way. If I were to mention anything, it would be these words over here, the Pueblo. If we would have been able to get that cropped out of it, not have that in there, it would have strengthened the composition. This is a little bit distracting over here. It's not really contributing to the composition. So as we're looking at those things, you were probably concentrating on this kind of interaction, these can kind of get away from us. That would have been great if we had that out of the composition. And so moving forward into these others where you're working with things like shadow, you're using more of a structure here. So you're having to shift gears, less about movement in line, and now you're using more structural sort of compositional strategies. Here, again, you're using geometry, you're using shape, all of that kind of stuff in order to get you to something that feels solid. When we get into this abstraction, it can be very difficult to find some framework, something to hold on to. That's what's really difficult about abstraction in photography. First, you're subverting what we already know, what most people consider to be a photograph. So you're challenging the viewer already by saying, here, it's out of focus, or it's not a subject, or things like that. But then you also probably have a more challenging composition, where the composition may not have the same sort of structure that it may have when it's sort of farther away. Here you're identifying lots of texture. I can see you're trying to install some structure. I can see you put a circle in the middle, trying to give it some sort of gravity. That's a good strategy. I don't know if it's 100% the right choice, but it's a good strategy. Here, I'm not sure what we're doing. We're a little bit farther away there. I don't know that this one is the correct image. Maybe it's out of order or something like that. You should be right up on the images like this one on that. I think you did an excellent job on these images. Overall, you've approached it. You're allowing your natural sort of instincts to take over, which is exactly what we want to do, just to see where you are. Through the course, we're going to be identifying the sort of terminology, connecting language to what you're already doing. For most people, these kinds of things we cover are things that might be familiar to you, but you haven't really thought about them in the way that we're going to be approaching them. So I really look forward to seeing more of your imagery, and we will catch up with you in class. All right, bye-bye now.